When one man quietly poured everything into building a playground for children he would never meet, he didn't just create slides and swings, he crafted hope. Stick around, this is a story of unseen sacrifice, forgotten names, and the echo of laughter ringing long after the builder walked away. Don't forget to subscribe so we can bring you more stories that heal our souls. Let's begin. The first raindrop hit the bare earth and echoed like a question. In the early morning hush of the deserted lot, the man stood alone, boots sunk into mud, heart heavy yet determined. His name was Thomas Everett, a quiet engineer from a town that didn't know his dreams. The lot once held a factory, now shuttered, the machines silent, the smokestack cold. Yet Thomas did not see decay, he saw possibility. He pictured laughter bouncing off swings, children chasing sunlight, footsteps in sandbox dust. In the town of Maple Ridge, mid-1980s, the factory closure had left an entire neighborhood orphaned of hope. Streets once alive with whistles and shift changes now lay silent. Parents found less work, children had fewer places to run. One afternoon, Thomas drove past the broken gates of that lot and felt an ache, a hollow shaped like childhood. He wondered, what if here, this place, could become something new? Something for them? He didn't have children of his own, and yet he carried the weight of all children who lacked a place to play. He set to work. He drew sketches on his kitchen table, swings, climbing frames, slides, shaded benches. He imagined a gathering place, free and open to all kids in town. People told him he was crazy. Who will fund this? Who will maintain it? And why for kids you don't even know? But Thomas heard none of the cynics. He saw only possibility. He saved money, sold off his extra car, worked extra overtime. He met local businesses, asked for sponsorships, hammered out permits, dealt with red tape. Each no only sharpened his resolve. When the fences came down for good, the lot still smelled of rust and abandonment, but by the next dawn, sunlight glinted off new metal beams. The first swing set arrived. The children, unaware yet of the miracle in progress, kept playing in the streets, climbing on balconies, bored and restless. Thomas watched from a distance, heart quietly soaring. The playground would be for them, even those he never personally met. Spring arrived and the project gained momentum. Neighbors, curious, wandered over the fence to peek. Some laughed, it'll never last. Others shrugged and walked away. But a handful stayed. A retired carpenter volunteered his evenings. A young mother offered to bake cookies for the launch. The school janitor lent his truck. Everyone had a reason to help, though none were expecting their names in lights. Thomas didn't ask for recognition. He asked only that the children come. He laid down the rubber safety surfacing, planted oak trees for shade, set up a bulletin board for community events. One early evening, as golden hour light spilled across the nearly finished playground, he paused and heard something, distant giggles, the echo of steps on sand. Not actual children, yet, but the promise. He inhaled the scent of fresh wood and paint, felt the breeze stir the leaves of the new oaks. He remembered his own childhood in a small house with no backyard, climbing a tree stump instead of a slide. He had yearned for space to run, to imagine, to belong. So this might become for someone what he never had. On opening day, he stood by the swing set as a truck delivered the plaque. It read, "To the children of Maple Ridge, may this be your refuge." His eyes misted. He stepped aside as the first group of kids, neighbors' children, cousins of friends, and even strangers, rushed in. The first swing creaked under a child's weight. The first slide squealed. The laughter that spilled across the space was raw and joyous. Parents watched, some wiping tears. Thomas watched too, but kept his distance. Because this was not about him, it was about them. He had built a playground for kids he never met, and now they were here. The breakthrough moment, he glimpsed one little boy, shy, standing aside, watching the others. Thomas walked quietly over, pushed the boy gently on the swing. The boy's face lit up with surprise, and then delight. Thomas felt the weight of his own childhood unload. He realized, this place wasn't just a playground, it was a chance. A chance for joy, for belonging, for memory. But a shadow loomed. The factory land was contested. The town council, strapped for funds, was considering selling the lot for development. The playground, Thomas's dream, stood on borrowed ground. He learned this late one evening, A letter slipped under his door. Public notice, potential zoning change. His heart sank. All the hours, the sweat, the hope, could be undone. He could refuse to act, or fight. He chose the latter. The fight was brutal in its mundanity. Meetings, paperwork, heated debates, bureaucrats who saw playground as a fluffy luxury when the town needed jobs. Thomas stood at the podium, voice steady though his hands trembled. This playground isn't chance, it's investment in children, in future, in community. He showed photos of the laughing faces, testimonials from parents. He spoke until his voice cracked with sincerity. Many nodded. Some scoffed. The developers circled like vultures, offering more money than any playground cost to maintain. The council hesitated. Meanwhile, the children used the playground like they owned it. On Saturday mornings the sandbox brimmed. On Wednesday afternoons, the swings sighed under the weight of 2 kids each. The sound of steady laughter became a counter-melody to the town's earlier silence. Thomas visited quietly, unnoticed, sometimes just sitting on a bench, watching shadows play across tire swings, hearing the wind through the oak leaves he planted. He realized something profound. In building the place, he had built his own soul's healing. He forgave his younger self for not having enough. He transformed that lack into giving. Then came the day of reckoning. The council voted. The lot might be sold unless enough public voices rose. Thomas mobilized the community. Children made drawings thanking the playground. Parents collected signatures. The press covered the story of the silent man who built hope. On the day of the vote, more than 50 children with swings behind them, scribbled posters in small hands, filled the gallery. Their cheers filled the room when the decision was announced. The playground was safe, the zoning would remain. Thomas exhaled. But instead of triumph, he felt quiet relief. Because the real victory wasn't in the vote, it was in the choices these kids would now make, to belong, to laugh, to grow. The climax, as the sun set that evening, Thomas walked through the playground alone. The benches empty, the slides still, but you could hear the echoes, memories in the making. He laid a hand on the plaque. In that moment he accepted that though he had never known many of the kids, their future would know him. And that was enough. Years passed. The children grew. The trees he'd planted stretched tall and strong, leaves rustling with autumn light. The playground endured floods, laughter, quiet afternoons, first crushes, scraped knees, joyful shrieks. Thomas moved away, to another town, another chapter, but he came back each year on his birthday. In the dusk light, he watched the place he built still live. One summer evening he returned to find a young girl sitting on the bench he used to occupy alone. She held a notebook. He asked quietly, "What are you writing?" She looked up and said, "The story of this place." She told him how she'd learned to ride her bike by the swings, how the sandbox had been where she made her first friend, how the picnic bench had hosted birthday cakes. And she said, "I want to build a place like this for children someday." Thomas felt tears, unseen by the girl. Because he realized the true legacy of the playground wasn't swings or slides, it was the spark of possibility it planted in a young heart. In that moment he knew the gift kept unfolding. And the children he'd never met? He had indirectly met them all those who would find refuge in the place he made. The resolution: one windy autumn afternoon, Thomas gathered the original volunteers under the oak trees. They hung a new sign. In memory of our dreamer, Thomas Everett, may this playground always be a home for hope. The community cheered. The children swung higher. The benches held stories. The ground held memories. And as Thomas watched from the edge, he felt that ache he once carried, transformed into light. He built a playground for kids he never met, and in doing so, built a place for the human heart to heal, to laugh, to remember that we all deserve a place to belong. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please share your thoughts. What place changed your life? Have you ever built something for someone else you never knew? Let us know in the comments. And if you'd like more deeply emotional stories like this, subscribe and join us at Vault of Tales. Until next time, keep your heart open.